crypto, politics, tech, and more. Get your daily news fix with News Source Scrawlers April. Crypto, politics, tech, and more. Get your daily news fix with News Source Scrawlers April 7, 2025 edition. Number 1 hit and more. YouTube Music Charts, Global Top Songs March 28 to April 3, 2025. Die with a Smile, Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. APT, Rose and Bruno Mars. El Mayor de los Ranas, Victor Valverde and J.R. Torres. Ranjan, Parampara Thakur. Spotify Weekly Top Songs Global. From the Friday, March 28 to Thursday, April 3, 2025. Die with a Smile, Lady Gaga, APT, Rose, Bruno Mars. Birds of a Feather. Billie Eilish. Ordinary, Alex Warren. Nintendo US Digital Bestsellers, from April 7, 2025. Minecraft. Super Mario Party Jamboree. Stardew Valley. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Steam's Hottest Games. Global Top Selling and Top Played Games across Steam. From the Global Top Selling and Top Played Games across Steam. From the Top 100 Products by Revenue list, for Tuesday, March 25, 2025 to Tuesday, April 1, 2025. Schedule 1. Counter-Strike 2. NZOI. REPO. The First Berserker, Kazan. CISA's Cybersecurity Alerts and Advisories. NSA, CISA, FBI, and international partners release cybersecurity advisory on FastFlux, a national security threat. FastFlux is a technique used to obfuscate the locations of malicious servers through rapidly changing domain name system, DNS, records associated with a single domain name. This threat exploits a gap commonly found in network defenses, making the tracking and blocking of malicious FastFlux activities difficult. One more drop in the ocean of AI. MetaLlama's Llama 4 Scout 17b16e Instruct. The Llama 4 models are autoregressive language models that use a mixture of experts, architecture and incorporate early fusion for native multimodality. TikTok deal put on hold after China objects over tariffs, sources say, and Trump extends TikTok deadline to divest, says China is unhappy about tariffs. China imposes 34% reciprocal tariffs on imports of U.S. goods in retaliation for Trump's trade war, as China hits back at U.S. tariffs with export controls on key rare earths, where China just turned off U.S. supplies of minerals critical for defense and clean tech. Trump says China played it wrong as stocks crash. Powell says tariff inflation could be more persistent as Trump urges him to cut rates. World's first 1nm RISC-V chip made in China with 2D materials. OpenAI has discussed buying Johnny Ive and Sam Altman's AI device startup. Air India partners with Apple to enable AirTag-based lost baggage tracking. CISA, FBI warn of FastFlux technique used to hide malicious servers. Hackers strike Australia's largest pension funds in coordinated attacks. Europcar GitLab breach exposes data of up to 200,000 customers. Wall Street Journal reports that Klarna pauses planned IPO in wake of Trump tariff announcement. Bloomberg comments as M&A and IPOs worth billions stalled in 24 hours by trade war. Nintendo delays Switch 2 pre-order date in the US to assess impact of Trump's tariffs. In the US, PSA pauses international grading submissions in wake of tariffs. Reportedly, Elon Musk, Dodge use access to Social Security data to elevate claims against migrants, as DHS officials ask IRS to use tax data to locate up to 7 million immigrants. Doge is planning a hackathon at the IRS. It wants easier access to taxpayer data. Politico comments as, the terror is real, and appalled tech industry is scared to criticize Elon Musk. U.S. tariffs don't violate NATO treaty, says NATO's Ruda. Musk says he hopes Europe and U.S. move to a zero-tariff situation. Apple considers expanding iPhone assembly in Brazil to get around U.S. tariffs. Trump signals possible tariff deal with Vietnam after productive call. Bucking Trump tariffs, California will push to maintain global trade independently, Newsom says. Indonesia will not retaliate against Trump tariff, minister says. Disney brings Avatar 3, Fantastic Four, Elio, Tron, Ares footage to CinemaCon. Las Vegas Sphere announces immersive The Wizard of Oz screening. USA expected to host Women's World Cup in 2031, could be joined by other CONCACAF nations. ByteDance confirms US talks on TikTok after Trump gives 75-day extension for deal to save app, and Apple keeps TikTok on its store after assurances from AG Bondi, as Trump extends TikTok deadline for the second time. The Hollywood Reporter comments as, Vimeo wants to let every creator launch their own Netflix. Microdrama genre booms in Asia as top apps surpass 150 million active users, Omdia report. Israel kills a Hamas commander in Lebanon, further testing ceasefire. Inspectors say more than 100 chemical weapons sites could remain in Syria. New York Times reports, video shows 8 workers killed in Gaza under gunfire barrage, with ambulance lights on. WGA ratifies new 3-year contract with CBS News, securing key AI protections. U.S. authors' copyright lawsuits against OpenAI and Microsoft combined in New York with newspaper actions. AI could affect 40% of jobs and widen inequality between nations, UN warns. Russian spy sensors found tracking Britain's nuclear submarines in UK waters, report. White House reportedly blames auto-suggested iPhone contact for signal scandal. Sahel Alliance recalls ambassadors from Algiers over downed drone. Anthropic claims, reasoning models don't always say what they think. DeepSeek unveils new AI reasoning method as anticipation for its next-gen model rises. Meta announces Llama 4 series LLMs Maverick and Scout, claims leadership in all benchmarks for 400B parameter Maverick model, mentions 2T parameter behemoth going Thorog training. In the US, coal-fired power plant, now retired, to become massive gas-powered campus for AI, data centers. Texas A&M study, after 120 years of conservation efforts, Yellowstone bison are a single breeding population. Trump administration orders half of national forests open for logging. SEC declares covered stablecoins like USDT and USDC are not securities, no registration needed for minting or redeeming. Jim Cramer predicts 1987 Black Monday-style stock market crash because of Trump tariffs in viral video, and tariffs, tumbling yuan and sell-off. Chinese markets brace for volatile Monday as trading reopens after tit-for-tat levies on U.S. Trump's top economic advisor says 50 countries have reached out to negotiate tariffs. Chronic ethanol exposure produces sex-dependent impairments in value computations in the striatum. A Western dietary pattern during pregnancy is associated with neurodevelopmental disorders in childhood and adolescence. Poor sleep may fuel conspiracy beliefs, according to new research. Largest ever U.S. honeybee die-off has destroyed 1.6 million colonies. Floods devastate normally arid parts of Australia's Queensland. Drug-resistant fungal diseases on the rise, who says? Lonely people are even sadder after using chatbots, research finds. Marriage linked to higher dementia risk in older adults, 18-year study finds. Brain channels stopped in time reveal chemical flow that enables learning and thinking. Cambodia hails opening of China-renovated base. Japanese emperor visits Iwo Jima to honor the dead in one of WW2's fiercest battles. Germany's Rheinmetall aims to make engines for 2,000 km missiles and launch a satellite plant. Goldman Sachs lowers 2025 growth forecast for Chinese stocks thanks to Trump tariffs. 6 days ago, Goldman Sachs trims Europe Stoxx 600 forecast on Trump tariff impact. UK's Jaguar Land Rover to pause shipments to US over tariffs. In the US, Besant calls tariffs a one-time price adjustment. China court auctions 100 tons of live crocodiles, starting at $550,000, no delivery. Philadelphia Zoo announces hatching of its first Galapagos tortoise babies, as endangered tortoise becomes first-time mom at about 100 years old. Rats bigger than cats are roaming Britain's second biggest city as garbage collectors strike. AP reports that federal officials are quietly terminating the legal residency of some international college students. Reportedly, in South Korea, crushing academic pressures start in kindergarten. NJ teen wins fight to put Notify app users in prison, impose fines up to $30,000. Spaniards march across 40 cities to protest the growing housing crisis. Hong Kong residential landlords get support from workers at hedge funds, crypto, Savills. Death toll rises to 33 as heavy rains flood DR Congo's capital. India and Sri Lanka sign defense and energy deals as Modi's visit strengthens ties. Armenian president signs law to initiate EU accession process. Davos Forum founder Klaus Schwab to step down as chair of trustees. U.S. negotiating minerals deal with conflict hit Congo, Trump official says. Thousands rally against Russian Wagner mercenaries in Central African Republic. Reuters Institute at Oxford University comments that, as Trump silences Voice of America, Russia and China seize the opportunity to reshape Africa's news ecosystem. Germany considers withdrawing 1,200-ton gold stockpile from U.S. in riposte to Trump. Millions march against Trump-Musk in nationwide hands-off protests, and Elon Musk says Saturday's protesters were paid puppets. Le Pen supporters rally in Paris, turning a protest into a populist show of force. Le Pen slams witch hunt, vows not to give up at Paris rally. Trump and Vance support Marine Le Pen after her conviction. Microsoft brings Copilot Vision to Windows and mobile for AI help in the real world. OpenAI says it'll release O3 after all, delays GPT-5. Midjourney releases V7, its first new AI image model in nearly a year. Mavoglurant reduces cocaine use in patients with cocaine use disorder in a phase 2 clinical trial. Exposure to antibiotics as a newborn can impair immune response to vaccines, study finds. Neuroscientific model of near-death experiences finds consistent physiological pattern. Hantavirus, which killed Gene Hackman's wife, linked to 3 deaths in rural California town. Trump rejects Biden plan to expand Medicare coverage for obesity drugs. OpenAI tests watermarking for ChatGPT 4o image generation model. Uber and WeRide partner with Dubai's Road and Transport Authority to bring autonomous vehicles to Dubai. China launches HDMI and DisplayPort alternative. GPMI boasts up to 192 gigabits per second bandwidth for 80W power delivery. Man sues China gaming firm for depression after being virtually slapped 4,800 times. Thalamus modulates consciousness via layer-specific control of cortex. Powerful forces have made the structure of the universe very messy, as cosmological data suggest the universe has become messier and more complicated. OpenAI's models memorized copyrighted content, new study suggests. BBC cries foul over lack of branding for its Apple News stories. I fear for my loved ones, Russian BBC journalist shaken by foreign agents' label. Wikimedia must remove India content deemed defamatory, court rules.
Crypto, politics, tech, and more. Get your daily news fix with News Source Scrawlers April 4th, 2025 edition. Number 1 hit and more. YouTube music charts. Global top songs March 21st to March 27th, 2025. Die with a Smile. Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars.
APT, Rosé et Bruno Mars. El mayor de los ranas, Víctor Valverde y J.R. Torres.
Like Janini. Spotify Weekly Top Songs Global. From the Friday, March 21st to Thursday, March 27th, 2025. Die with a Smile, Lady Gaga APT. Rose, Bruno Mars. Birds of a Feather. Billie Eilish. Anxiety Doekii. Nintendo US Digital Bestsellers, from March 31st, 2025. Minecraft. Super Mario Party Jamboree. Xenoblade Chronicles X. Definitive Edition. Stardew Valley. Steam's hottest games. Global top-selling and top-played games across Steam. From the top 100 products by revenue list, for Tuesday, March 18th, 2025 to Tuesday, March 25th, 2025. Counter-Strike 2. Assassin's Creed Shadows.
RPO Split Fiction.
Monster Hunter Wilds. CISA's cybersecurity alerts and advisories. CISA releases malware analysis report on research malware associated with Ivanti Connect Secure. One more drop in the ocean of AI. ByteDance Mega TTS-3 rocket lightweight and efficient. The backbone of the TTS diffusion transformer has only 0.45B parameters. Thumbs up ultra high-quality voice cloning. See the demo video below. We also report results of recent TTS models on the seed test sets in the following table. Globe showing Europe-Africa bilingual support. Supports both Chinese and English and code switching. Writing hand controllable. Supports accent intensity control white heavy checkmark. And fine-grained pronunciation/duration adjustment. Coming soon. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong says Congress should allow stablecoin companies to pay users interest. As in the US, Top lawmaker shuts down Coinbase plea for interest-bearing stablecoins. Circle hires JP Morgan. Citi with plan to file IPO in late April. Fortune. Bloomberg comments as, tariffs disrupt Bitcoin mining supply chain rooted in Asia. NYC Mayor Eric Adams' case dismissed with prejudice despite Trump admin's request to allow for later prosecution. And NYC Mayor Eric Adams will skip the Democratic primary and run for re-election as an independent. The Hill comments as Vance-Harris seen as top 2028 White House contenders. Pence to receive JFK Profile Encourage Award for 2020 election certification. 7 months ago, Vance again says he wouldn't have certified 2020 election if he was vice president. And 1 year ago, Trump warned Pence certifying election results would be a career killer. Witness testified. In U.S., inability to pay for care medicine hits new high. The richest Americans live about as long as the poorest Europeans, study says. Hong Kong won't set limit on student screen time despite health concerns. FDA planning for fewer food and drug inspections due to layoffs, officials say. In the U.S., several federal agencies launch a deferred resignation effort to encourage workers to leave their jobs. Musk will stay until he completes Doge mission, White House says. Amazon and OnlyFans founder make last-minute bids to buy TikTok as U.S. deadline looms. TikTok for artists gets tested as Trump mulls TikTok America plan. Over 90% of student suicides in Hong Kong were aged 12 and above. Beijing calls on HSBC to help improve Sino-British ties, boost Hong Kong's image. Capital One deal for Discover clears Justice Department hurdle. Denmark's Maersk buys Panama Canal Railway Company. 55-year-old underwater camera trap set for Loch Ness Monster is found. Ancient DNA reveals lost human tribe that lived in Green Sahara. Amazon to launch first batch of Kuiper satellites on April 9. Oracle tells clients of second recent hack, login data stolen. Recently it has been reported as Oracle attempt to hide serious cybersecurity incident from customers in Oracle SaaS service. TikTok faces fine over €500 million for China data export. European police say Kidflix, one of the largest pedophile platforms in the world, busted in joint operation. Ford will offer employee pricing to all U.S. customers for the next 2 months as auto tariffs go into effect. And every car is about to get more expensive. It's just math, former Ford CEO says. Reportedly, Tesla is sitting on $200 million worth of Cybertruck inventory. Xiaomi EV delivers over 29,000 cars in March 2025. Iconic binoculars building hits market in Los Angeles. A quadplex penthouse on New York's billionaires' row lists for $110 million. Climate crisis on track to destroy capitalism, warns top insurer, and lingering El Niño events are becoming more common. Study uncovers 7,000-year trend. Slovakia approves cull of 350 bears after man mauled to death in latest fatal attack. India's parliament passes controversial bill that would change Muslim endowments. Demoscene now also recognized in Sweden as UNESCO Cultural Heritage. Now You See Me 4 in the works as third movie gets official title. Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Disney's Tangled live-action movie on hold indefinitely. Glenn Powell films Running Man remake in London 37 years after original Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. Trump unleashes 10% global tariffs with higher reciprocal rates. Bloomberg comments as Trump tariff rollout opens new era of risk for global economy. Russia, Belarus excluded from Trump's sweeping tariffs due to existing sanctions, White House says. China vows to retaliate after bullying U.S. imposes 34% reciprocal tariffs. Greece vows to spend $27 billion on armed forces overhaul centered on high-tech warfare technology. In the U.S., Army planners are weighing force reductions of up to 90,000 active duty soldiers. Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger to form joint force to fight jihadist insurgency. In the U.S., DoD opens investigation into Pete Hegseth's use of Signal, as reportedly Waltz's team set up at least 20 Signal group chats for crises across the world. European Commission takes aim at end-to-end encryption and proposes Europol become an EU FBI. 5 VPN apps in the App Store had links to Chinese military. Israeli strike kills dozens at Gaza City shelter, officials say. Hungary says it will withdraw from ICC as Israel's Netanyahu visits. Axios reports that Kushner's Abraham Accords Institute to merge into Heritage Foundation. U.S. bans government personnel in China from romantic or sexual relations with Chinese citizens. Radio Free Europe says U.S. switches off satellite transmitting Russia broadcast. Trump tariffs may drive bad loans in China to pandemic high levels, S&P says. GPT 4.5 passes Turing test with Persona. AI conversational abilities reach new heights. To celebrate 50 years of Microsoft, Bill Gates had released the original source code of the BASIC for Altair 8080. India tech startups worth $100 billion seen seeking IPOs by 2027. Trump administration fires Director of National Security Agency. As Washington Post reports, National Security Agency chief ousted after far-right activist urged his removal. The Hill comments as Trump makes history by pardoning a corporation. White House postpones Saturday garden tours due to anti-Trump demonstrations. Canada unveils limited countermeasures against U.S., calls Trump move a tragedy, as Canada to counter unjustified U.S. tariffs with 25% taxes on U.S. cars, says Carney. Japan deeply concerned about U.S. reciprocal tariffs, demands removal. Macron calls on EU companies to freeze investments in U.S. It has been commented as Trump's new tariffs construct a $1 trillion trade wall around the U.S. economy, and Trump open to tariff cuts in return for phenomenal offers. EU to target U.S. online services after Trump tariffs. France. In China, Pinduoduo to invest more than $13 billion over 3 years to support merchants. Bulgaria's government survives a no-confidence vote, brought by a pro-Russia political party. Russia bans Elton John's AIDS Foundation to defend spiritual and moral values. Pro-Russian Bosnian Serb leader Dodik surfaces in Moscow amid charges in Bosnia. Michael Jackson biopic likely splitting into 2 movies and delaying release date. How to Train Your Dragon 2 live-action remake coming to theaters in 2027. Bruce Springsteen to release 7 albums of unreleased songs. Tracks 2. The Lost Albums. Bonobos use a kind of syntax once thought to be unique to humans. Marine microbes reveal new gene clusters for hydrogen production. Cells lining your skin and organs can generate electricity when injured, minus potentially opening new doors to treating wounds. U.S. Energy Department invites AI data center development at Los Alamos and other federal lands. Google in advanced talks to rent NVIDIA AI servers from CoreWeave. The Information comments as NVIDIA faces dilemma after Chinese firms rush to order $16 billion in new AI chips. Artificial sweetener found in diet drinks linked to brain changes that increase appetite. Study finds. U.S. Supreme Court largely backs FDA's denial of flavored vape product applications. A demanding work culture could be quietly undermining efforts to raise birth rates. Intel TSMC recently discussed agreement to form chip-making joint venture. ChatGPT users have generated over 700 images in 1 week, OpenAI says. AI bots strain Wikimedia as bandwidth surges 50%. Advertising banned on all sites blocked in Russia starting September. Spotify tells advertisers users are not passively scrolling on app, NYT says. QVC launches first 24/7 live shopping streams on TikTok. Mark Zuckerberg lobbies Trump to settle antitrust suit against Meta. And U.S. Senate committee opens review into Meta's efforts to gain access to China. Brazil now investigating Apple over app tracking transparency after Meta complaint. New York Times reports that EU prepares major penalties against Elon Musk's X. Amazon's new AI agent will shop third-party sites for you. OpenAI and Anthropic are fighting over college students with free AI. AI masters Minecraft. DeepMind program finds diamonds without being taught. Nature reports that Trump White House directs NIH to study regret after transgender people transition. YouTube removes gender identity from hate speech policy. UFC signs wide-ranging sponsorship deal with Meta, bringing Mark Zuckerberg closer to Dana White. 2025 MTV Video Music Awards to air on CBS for first time. Will simulcast on MTV. The Simpsons, Family Guy. Bob's Burgers renewed for 4 more seasons. American Dad, officially returning to Fox. The NHL just struck a $7.7 billion deal with Rogers, which is more than double the previous media rights contract they signed a decade ago. President Donald J. Trump declares national emergency to increase our competitive edge, protect our sovereignty, and strengthen our national and economic security, as President Donald J. Trump declared that foreign trade and economic practices have created a national emergency, and his order imposes responsive tariffs to strengthen the international economic position of the United States and protect American workers. Treasury Secretary Bessent tells countries not to retaliate after sweeping Liberation Day tariffs. In the U.S., Senate rebukes Trump's tariffs as some Republicans vote to halt taxes on Canadian imports. Princeton considers issuing bonds same day as federal government pauses grants. Trump administration sends Harvard a list of demands to protect federal funds. Brown University in Trump's crosshairs after Columbia may lose $510 million in federal grants.
Get your daily news fix. From newsworthy, get your daily news fix. From newsworthy's latest edition. March 31st, 2025, featuring crypto, politics, tech, and more. Top songs on YouTube music charts, global edition from March 21st to March 27th, 2025. 1. Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. 2. APT by Rose and Bruno Mars. 3. El Mayor de los Ranas by Victor Valverde and J.R. Torres. 4. Like Jenny by Jenny. Spotify Weekly Top Songs Global, spanning from Friday, March 21st to Thursday, March 27th, 2025, features the following tracks. Die with a Smile by Lady Gaga, APT by Rose and Bruno Mars, Birds of a Feather by Billie Eilish, and Anxiety by Doeki I. Top-selling digital games on Nintendo US as of March 31st, 2025. Minecraft, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Definitive Edition, and Stardew Valley. Steam's most popular games. Featuring the leading titles and sales and player engagement on the platform. Based on the revenue rankings of the top 100 products, for the period from Tuesday, March 18, 2025, to Tuesday, March 25, 2025. Counter-Strike 2, Assassin's Creed Shadows, REPO, Split Fiction, Monster Hunter Wilds. CISA's cybersecurity alerts and advisories. CISA has issued a detailed report on the resurge malware, which is linked to the Ivanti Connect secure system. One more drop in the ocean of AI. ByteDance introduces Mega TTS 3, a remarkable addition. This text-to-speech (TTS) system is characterized by its lightweight and efficient design, with the core TTS diffusion transformer containing a mere 0.45 billion parameters. It excels in producing ultra-high-quality voice clones, as demonstrated in the video provided below. Additionally, the performance of recent TTS models on the seed test sets is detailed in the accompanying table. Mega TTS 3 offers bilingual capabilities, accommodating both Chinese and English, and includes the ability to switch between languages. It also provides control over accent intensity and, in the near future, will allow for precise adjustments to pronunciation and duration. The University of Michigan has shut down its Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion (DEI) office, terminating a significant financial investment in diversity initiatives. This decision comes amid reports that billions of dollars in federal funding could be jeopardized as President Trump calls for U.S. universities to adhere to his directives. Additionally, the Federal Communications Commission, FCC, chair has initiated an investigation into the Walt Disney Company regarding its DEI programs. Furthermore, the U.S. government has mandated that French companies comply with Trump's diversity restrictions. Crisis presents an opportunity. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni aims to establish Italy as a key link between the United States and Europe, dismissing the notion of having to choose between Donald Trump and European interests. Meanwhile, France sees the European military's actions in Ukraine as a testing ground for a NATO that might emerge after Trump's era. Additionally, Finland's President Sauli Niinistö engaged in a golf game with Trump, during which they talked about the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. Axios reports that the Trump team is reassuring the public by emphasizing that tax cuts will soon arrive, so there's no need to worry about rising prices. Trump himself has expressed indifference to potential increases in auto prices due to tariffs and is reportedly urging his aides to implement even more significant tariffs as an important deadline approaches. Meanwhile, a CBS News poll indicates that Americans are more concerned about Trump focusing on prices rather than tariffs, although a majority do support his deportation efforts. Additionally, Brazil's President Lula has stated that he intends to engage in negotiations regarding tariffs before considering any retaliatory actions. SpaceX astronauts are set to attempt cultivating the inaugural mushrooms in space during the forthcoming Fram-2 mission, which will orbit over Earth's poles. Meanwhile, an explorer from Vancouver is reaching out to Trump for approval to extract metals from the Pacific Ocean floor. Additionally, a report indicates that U.S. scientists have experienced a loss of $3 billion in NIH grants since Trump assumed office. A Chinese scientist who faced exclusion due to his involvement in gene-edited babies is now aiming to make a return. Recent research indicates that the majority of early Europeans possessed dark skin, eyes, and hair until approximately 3,000 years ago. An ancient parasite employed a mechanism similar to that of a Venus flytrap to deposit eggs in its hosts. J.D. Vance acknowledges that he initially didn't fully understand Trump's motivation for wanting Greenland. However, Vance argues that the United States needs to have control over Greenland to counter the threats posed by China and Russia. He suggests that Greenland should consider making an agreement with the U.S. Meanwhile, Putin dismisses Trump's interest in acquiring Greenland, stating it has no relevance to Russia. Vance also criticizes Denmark for not investing enough in Greenland, as Trump continues to advocate for the U.S. to take over the island. In response to Trump's pressure, Greenland's political parties have formed a wide-ranging coalition government. Trump confidently asserts to NBC News that the U.S. will definitely acquire Greenland, saying, "We'll get Greenland. Yeah, 100%. Chinese authorities have temporarily suspended the sale of Panama Canal ports. Pentagon official Hegseth has announced that the U.S. military presence in Japan, described as warrior, is being enhanced to serve as a deterrent against China, emphasizing Japan's crucial role in this strategy. Meanwhile, Greenland's prime minister has stated that the U.S. will not acquire the island. Axios has announced that the White House will now manage the seating arrangement in the briefing room. Additionally, White House correspondents have dismissed a comedian for making offensive remarks about MAGA on the Beast podcast. Meanwhile, Mike Huckabee, whom Trump has chosen as the ambassador to Israel, is attempting to separate himself from his previous statements regarding Palestinians. The Hill has criticized Huckabee, suggesting that his extreme views could lead to chaos in the Middle East. A supercomputer has revealed the chaotic nature of hypersonic flows at Mach 16. In Beijing, a new X-ray light source has been constructed, boasting a brightness 1 trillion times greater than the sun. Additionally, a method has been developed to generate power by harnessing Earth's movement through its own magnetic field. Turkey has detained a Swedish journalist on charges of insulting the president and terrorism. In the United States, private organizations are actively identifying and reporting student protesters, potentially leading to their deportation. Additionally, it has been reported that hundreds of international students received an email instructing them to self-deport due to their involvement in campus activism. In a confidential meeting, Vance and his leading advisors proposed that Trump remove Waltz, but Trump is reportedly reluctant to dismiss Waltz or others implicated in the Signal chat leak, according to officials. Meanwhile, Trump has mentioned he is contemplating options for a third presidential term, although he stated he doesn't wish to discuss it at present, despite numerous people urging him to run. Additionally, Axios has reported that Trump plans to visit Saudi Arabia in May, marking his first international trip, as indicated by sources. Novo Nordisk's diabetes medication has been shown to reduce the risk of cardiovascular issues by 14% over a 4-year period. Additionally, the newest Alzheimer's treatments have the potential to extend patients' years of independence. Furthermore, a study indicates that lifestyle choices have a greater influence on lifespan than genetic factors. The Academy has issued an apology for not providing sufficient support to the Oscar-winning Palestinian director. Meanwhile, Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu plans to visit Hungary, despite an arrest warrant issued by the International Criminal Court. Additionally, Iran has declined to engage in direct nuclear negotiations with former President Trump but remains open to indirect discussions, following Trump's previous warning to Iran that there will be bombing if Tehran rejects U.S. nuclear talks. The UK regulatory body plans to begin granting licenses to cryptocurrency companies by the year 2026. Meanwhile, in the United States, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has concluded its investigation into Crypto.com without taking any further action. Additionally, a report suggests that Japan is considering reclassifying cryptocurrency as a financial product in an effort to reduce insider trading. A record-breaking number of 736,000 sandhill cranes have gathered in Nebraska during the peak of spring migration, and there are no indications of bird flu, despite previous worries. In China, researchers are employing laser drones to accurately count the nation's vast population of trees, totaling 142.6 billion. Meanwhile, in Tokyo, rice farmers are demonstrating against what they perceive as misguided regulations that are contributing to rice shortages. Samsung Electronics has introduced its AI home concept, featuring enhanced artificial intelligence and improved screens in a variety of new product lines. Meanwhile, Google has ceased manufacturing the Nest Protect and the Nest Axial lock. Additionally, China's supersonic jet, the C-949, aims to achieve a 50% increase in range compared to the Concorde and produce 95% less noise. Split Fiction secures its spot in gaming history by achieving 3 world records. Korea's Krafton is challenging the 25-year dominance of The Sims. Nintendo is reportedly planning a Zelda movie trilogy, with filming planned for New Zealand. A significant breach in Oracle Cloud has led to the exposure of over 6 million records, potentially endangering more than 140,000 tenants. Additionally, 1.5 million private photographs from LGBTQ+, BDSM, and sugar dating applications have been compromised. The HTTPS certificate industry has implemented new security measures, including multi-perspective issuance corroboration and linting. RFK Jr. has compelled Peter Marks, a leading vaccine official, to resign. In his resignation letter, Marks refutes Kennedy's falsehoods. Additionally, RFK Jr. is anticipated to dismiss the entire staff of the Office of Infectious Disease and HIV/AIDS Policy. Meanwhile, there are reports that DOJ is advocating for businesses to manage government services to the greatest extent feasible. STAT has expressed that, noting that the removal of FDA's Peter Marks has alarmed the biopharma industry, which regarded him as a supporter. Michael Mann has submitted his script for Heat 2 to Warner Bros. The Lumen Terminal Pro computer has been featured on Apple's website. Venice has announced it will be the venue for Bezos' wedding and has refuted claims of potential disruptions to the city. The Frick Collection in New York City is set to reopen following a significant renovation costing $330 million. A collection of previously unseen paintings by the renowned kitsch artist Thomas Kincaid has been revealed. The upcoming film Ne 2 is expected to boost global box office projections for 2025 to a total of $34 billion. China's 4 leading state-owned banks are planning to generate $72 billion through stock sales to enhance their capital reserves. Additionally, Google has reached a settlement of $100 million in a lawsuit concerning advertisers who were overcharged. Meanwhile, the first orbital rocket launched from mainland Europe experienced a crash shortly after it took off. Xpeng predicts that the robotics industry will surpass the automotive sector in size within the next few years. Xpeng is making a significant investment of $413 million in a new factory located in Guangzhou, focusing on the development of flying cars. Meanwhile, SoftBank Group is considering a massive $1 trillion initiative in the United States to establish industrial parks dedicated to AI robots. Additionally, DeepSeek has increased the confidence of wealthy Chinese investors in technology stocks, according to a banker from Standard Chartered. A letter from the industry warns that more than $13 billion in investments in solar and wind energy projects in Vietnam could be jeopardized. Meanwhile, Japan is planning to allocate an unprecedented $133 billion to enhance its resilience against earthquakes. Additionally, as the global climate warms, changes in cloud patterns are contributing to increased uncertainty about climate conditions. Authorities in London have detained individuals responsible for organizing a protest related to Gaza at the Quaker House. Meanwhile, Haaretz has published an article discussing the situation in Gaza, where it claims that nearly every unit of the Israel Defense Forces, IDF, employs Palestinian individuals as human shields, likening them to a sub-army of forced laborers. Additionally, reports have emerged of the discovery of the bodies of aid workers who were previously missing, found in a mass grave in Gaza following Israeli military operations. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, FDIC, has withdrawn its previous guidance regarding banks and cryptocurrency, indicating that banks are now permitted to participate in cryptocurrency activities without needing prior approval. Additionally, FTX is set to commence $11.4 billion in creditor payouts in May, following a prolonged bankruptcy process. Furthermore, former President Donald Trump has granted pardons to 3 co-founders of the BitMEX cryptocurrency exchange and a former employee. A groundbreaking study has successfully blocked cancer's master switch permanently. In another significant development, artificial intelligence has demonstrated the ability to match pathologists in the diagnosis of celiac disease. Additionally, a recent study has revealed that PFAS chemicals are present in the drinking water of nearly half of the American population. The leaders of Harvard's Middle Eastern Studies Center are set to depart. According to an AP report, Israeli settlers were captured on video attacking a Palestinian village, yet only Palestinians were apprehended by the police. Additionally, CARE has criticized Secretary Hegseth's Kafir tattoo, labeling it as indicative of both anti-Muslim hostility and personal insecurity. AI specialists argue that our current approach is misguided in the quest to develop artificial intelligence that closely resembles human capabilities. Meanwhile, Wired reports that OpenAI's Sora is facing significant issues with biases, including sexism, racism, and ableism. Additionally, Apple is preparing to introduce a virtual healthcare assistant through Project Mulberry as it accelerates its efforts to enhance AI-driven health services. During the Trump administration, businesses are altering the branding of their diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives rather than abandoning them. In the United States, the Naval Academy is making moves to eliminate diversity policies related to books and admissions. Meanwhile, Columbia University's president has been replaced amid threats from Trump concerning the university's funding. TSMC, Intel, and other leading chip manufacturers are reducing the pace of their expansion efforts in Japan and Malaysia. Meanwhile, the New York Times highlights that India is experiencing a significant hiring surge, which remains unaffected by Trump's tariffs. Additionally, the Wall Street Journal covers a conflict between Apple and Elon Musk regarding their satellite expansion strategies. Private equity firm Clearlake is set to acquire Dun & Bradstreet, a company specializing in business decisioning data and analytics, for a total of $4.1 billion in cash. Additionally, Reuters has reported that Blackstone is considering taking a small ownership stake in a US-based spin-off of TikTok, according to sources. Furthermore, Elon Musk has announced that he has sold X to his AI company, valuing the transaction at $33 billion. Financial Times notes that brands are spending minimal amounts on X advertisements to maintain Elon Musk's satisfaction. The Wall Street Journal reports that attempts to eliminate fake users for online advertisers have been unsuccessful, and DoubleVerify has responded to the Wall Street Journal's fact-checking and analytics report, acknowledging that both Analytics and the Wall Street Journal recognize that the report's premise and conclusions lack factual support. Additionally, YouTube has disabled ad revenue for channels featuring fake movie trailers following an investigation by Deadline. In the United States, companies like Uber and DoorDash are advocating for a policy that would exempt tips from taxation, specifically benefiting their drivers. Meanwhile, in Bangladesh, individuals known as remittance warriors have successfully sent a record amount of $3 billion back to their country. Additionally, a poll conducted in the United Kingdom reveals that young people are more concerned about work and financial issues than they are about cultural conflicts or climate change. In the United States, far-right influencers are organizing a matchmaking event with a participation fee of $10,000 per person, aiming to increase the global population. Additionally, former President Trump has withdrawn research funding intended to safeguard pregnant women from domestic violence, citing concerns related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI. Furthermore, a report indicates that Mike Waltz utilized the Signal messaging app for more confidential national security discussions. It is also reported that passwords and other sensitive information from high-ranking Trump officials have been discovered circulating online after a signal leak. Trump is taking steps to remove unionization rights for the majority of federal employees. Meanwhile, in the United States, states are quickly employing federal workers who have been laid off due to DOGE-related budget cuts. Additionally, Elon Musk has stated that Trump will target individuals who are spreading falsehoods about Tesla. Frances Marine Le Pen has been found guilty in a European Union embezzlement case, which could jeopardize her chances in the 2027 presidential election. Additionally, she has been disqualified from holding office for a period of 5 years due to her conviction for corruption. In another development, law enforcement in Portugal successfully stopped a submarine that was attempting to cross the Atlantic Ocean with a significant amount of cocaine, weighing 6.5 tons. Meanwhile, an Indian court has declared Google's billing policy to be anti-competitive. Russia and the United States are in discussions regarding projects related to rare earth metals, according to an envoy from Putin. Meanwhile, Donald Trump, expressing frustration with Vladimir Putin, has threatened to impose tariffs on Russian oil if Moscow obstructs a deal concerning Ukraine. Additionally, Trump mentioned that he had a highly productive conversation with Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, during which they reached agreements on numerous issues. Pakistan intends to deport 3 million Afghan individuals this year. In the United States, numerous individuals who have been granted parole have received an email from the government advising them to leave the country immediately. A study involving Lyft drivers has uncovered instances of racial profiling by law enforcement officers. A tsunami alert has been declared following a 7.1 magnitude earthquake that struck close to Tonga. In Myanmar, a strong earthquake caused damage to over 60 historic pagodas and structures, among them the Maha Mayat Muni Pagoda. Meanwhile, in the United States, severe storms have resulted in tornadoes and hail the size of golf balls, extending from the Great Lakes region to Texas. The New York Times highlights the increasing violence and viral spread of activities by online individuals who claim to hunt pedophiles. Additionally, the White House is experiencing criticism for using an image inspired by Studio Ghibli to depict a person convicted of dealing fentanyl. Furthermore, a reward in the form of a meme coin is being offered for information leading to the location of Joe Lowe, the mastermind behind the 1MDB